never expected to find anything interesting in my grandfather's attic. It was the kind of place that smelled like old wood, forgotten memories, and time itself. My brother Sam and I were only up there because my parents asked us to help clean it out, after Grandpa passed away last winter. He lived alone for years after Grandma died, and even though he'd always been kind to us, there was something about his house that never felt right. Something about how quiet it got after dark, like the walls were holding their breath. We were up there all afternoon, digging through boxes of books, tools, and old furniture. Dust clung to everything. The air felt thick, like it hadn't been disturbed in decades. And then, Sam found it. Tucked inside the drawer of a small wooden desk, pushed against the far wall, was an old phone. Not ancient, but definitely out of place. A black Android model from maybe 10 or 12 years ago. The battery was swollen, but the screen wasn't cracked. Strangely, it still had a little bit of power left. Sam looked at me and raised an eyebrow. "Think it still works?" he asked. I shrugged. Only one way to find out. He pressed the power button and the screen lit up. No lock screen, no PIN. Just a blank, eerie home screen with a single folder labeled "Do Not Open." We should have left it alone. But of course, we didn't. The label, "Do Not Open," seemed almost too on the nose, like it was daring us to take a peek. Sam's fingers hovered over the icon. "Should we?" he asked. I don't know why I agreed, but I did. Let's just see what it is. The folder opened with a soft click, revealing several photos. At first glance, they seemed normal. Pictures of trees, an old house, a car parked in a driveway. Nothing too unusual. But then, I noticed something. In each photo, there was a person. A man, standing just out of focus in the background. In one, he was near a tree, barely visible, just a silhouette in the shadows. In another, he was standing outside an old house, the light barely catching his face. His eyes, though, I can't explain it, but they felt wrong. They weren't just out of focus, they were empty, like he wasn't supposed to be there at all. "Who's that?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Sam shrugged, but I could tell something wasn't right. "This doesn't make sense," he muttered, flicking through the pictures faster now. "These look like places we know, but I don't remember ever seeing him around." We moved through the photos, and with each one, that feeling deepened. In one of the pictures, the man was standing directly in front of the house we grew up in. And the worst part? He was staring straight at the camera, at us, as if he knew we were looking at him, as if he had always known. I didn't know how to react. Part of me wanted to laugh it off, to say it was just a coincidence, but something in my gut told me it wasn't. I looked up at Sam. His face had gone pale. "Do you think this could be Grandpa?" he asked, his voice unsteady. "But no, that's impossible. Grandpa would have told us if he knew someone like this." We stared at the photo for a long time, both of us uneasy, as if the man might step out of the picture and walk into the room with us. But nothing happened. We sat in silence for a while. Sam kept scrolling through the photos and the man kept appearing. Different places, different times, but always in the background, always watching. Then, as Sam swiped to the next image, something changed. The photo was blurry, like the camera had been dropped in a panic. But the face of the man, his eyes, were clearer than ever. They weren't empty anymore. They were filled with anger and hatred, like he was daring us to keep looking. I could feel a chill crawling up my spine. And then the phone turned off. The screen went black. Sam tried turning the phone back on, but nothing happened. It was like the battery had finally died for good. We looked at each other, unsure of what to say. I tried to laugh it off, but my voice came out too tight. "Creepy, huh?" I said. He nodded slowly. "Yeah, real creepy." We didn't tell Mom or Dad. It felt like something we weren't supposed to share. We put the phone back in the drawer where we found it and left the attic not long after. But that night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face. Those eyes, staring back at me. Not from a photo, but from the dark corners of my room. The next morning, Sam wasn't at breakfast. Mom said he must have slept in, but something didn't sit right. I went upstairs to check on him. The door to his room was open and the bed was empty. But what made my stomach drop was this. His window was open, and sitting on his desk was the phone. I swear we left it in the attic. It was on again, the screen glowing faintly, like it had never died in the first place. There was a new folder. It was labeled 1. I opened it. There was only one photo. It was taken from behind Sam's shoulder, in his room as he slept. I screamed for my parents, but by the time they rushed in, the phone had turned off again. Sam was gone, just gone. No signs of a break-in, no messages, no footprints. The police thought he ran away, but I knew better, and I knew I had to go back up there, to the attic. When I opened the drawer, the phone wasn't there anymore, but there was something else. A set of printed photographs. All the same man, the same cold stare. Except this time, one of the photos had me in it. I was in my bed, sleeping, just like Sam. I didn't sleep that night. I kept the lights on, I locked my door, I sat on my bed with a baseball bat in hand, barely blinking. At 3:13 a.m., the phone buzzed. It was on my desk. I never touched it. Another new folder. This one labeled 2. A photo. Me. Sitting on my bed, holding the bat. Taken from just behind the closet door. I tried showing the photos to my parents, but every time I handed them the phone, the screen turned black. To them, it was just a dead phone. They thought I was having some kind of breakdown. Maybe I was. But that didn't change the fact that every night at 3:13 a.m., a new folder appeared. Each photo was closer than the last. One night, the photo showed my face mid-scream. I don't remember screaming. But when I checked the time, 3:13 a.m., my closet door was slightly ajar. I moved out a week later, into a small apartment across town. I stopped talking about Sam. My parents eventually accepted the official story, but I didn't. I couldn't, because the photos didn't stop. 3 months later, I got a package. No return address. Inside was a phone. Not the same one, but similar. There was only one folder on it. It was labeled 0. Inside was one image. It was old, grainy, black and white, a boy, sitting on a wooden floor, crying. Behind him, standing in the shadows, was me, older, taller, but unmistakably me, staring down at the boy like I had been there the whole time. I dropped the phone in horror, because I'd never seen that photo before, and I had never been that person, not yet. But now I understood. The man in the photos, the one who took Sam, the one who watched me every night, he wasn't some stranger. He was me.